Hi, welcome to One on the Page. I'm Scott. This is a weekly reading wrap up. Not so much weekly this week because it's for the 4th through the 13th of March. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, the reason it's for the 4th through the 13th is because my daughter Robin was visiting. So, one, I didn't get as much reading done, and also wanted to spend some time with my kid. Although she was sick through part of it, so part of it was just watching her on the couch moping. But at least I got to see her as she was moping and whining and putting pills in her peanut butter so she could swallow them. So I did it from Monday, March 4th to Wednesday, May 13th. So next week I will go from Thursday the 14th through Wednesday the 20th. Gonna scoot Ron aside because he's moving the tripod there. So I did finish with qualifications. Not really, no qualifications, but I guess I regressed a little bit. I did finish 4 books this week. 2 of them were audiobooks, 2 of them were Kindle books. So the first book I finished was The Master and Margarita by Mikhael Bolgokov. Again, I have probably mispronounced that. Will probably mispronounce several things, but yeah, it's a I guess a classic Russian novel, albeit one that I had never heard of before. I had mentioned in the past that I have had issues with finding things to read or listen to, depending how you look at it. To me, it's still reading, but people have different opinions. I've been looking for things to read on audiobooks and just kind of having issues. I don't really find a lot of, I guess, recent books that I want to read, and I don't want to go back and listen to books that I have already read before in one form or the other. So I did the thing where I searched for like uh, top books of all time, blah, blah, blah. And this one just happened to pop up on one of the lists I was looking at. And I was like, I've never heard of this before, but I did get it, listen to it. It is essentially the devil came down to Russia and wasn't necessarily looking for a soul to steal, but he he had plans which mainly seemed to consist of punishing people for their misdeeds. And now it's called The Master and Margarita. The Master, who basically only goes by that title, does not appear until about probably a third of the way through the novel. And I wouldn't say that he necessarily plays a huge part of the novel, a prominent part, but necessarily why Bolgokov decided to name the book this, I don't know. Margarita doesn't show up until halfway through the novel. I do think that she plays a bigger part in the novel than the master. The devil, in the guise of a professor and also a entertainer, comes to Russia and basically rocks people's world, foretells somebody's death, and that person dies in the method that he said he would. Basically, again, punishes people. I don't know. I got to be honest that I had a little bit of trouble with the novel because it's like it was basically the devil says this gonna happen. It happens. That's not the entirety of the novel, but through the first part of the novel, it's kind of what it was, and it's like, okay, this is getting a little repetition. It's a little bit like, not like, but kind of had the similar path of Don Quixote with Don Quixote's battles. It's like, okay, this happens. He gets defeated. He sort of heals, gets into another battle. He gets defeated. It's just like, okay, doing this a lot. And I kind of got that at the beginning of this novel. Once the Master and Margarita did come in, it kind of moved away from that. Uh, it talks a little bit about religion in Russia and artists and corruption. I liked it, I think, but I don't know that it's necessarily a novel that I would read again. I do know that Bolgokov has at least one other novel, I believe, called The White Guard. It's The White something. I could be off about that. Perhaps I will read that in the future. I don't know. But I am going to give this a 4 star. As somebody with an English degree, but also somebody who just loves reading for the pleasure of reading, I do have the issue sometimes where the message of the writing overcomes the story. You can have the message or the story, or you can have the message in the story. And too often, I think, especially in what we deem classics, the message is so much more than the story. But I still enjoyed it. I do think that the story here, especially once we got past the devil like fucking up everybody's world, was interesting. But the devil, and I forget his name that he takes, Professor Vol something, but he's basically the main character. But he doesn't change. So I kind of wish that we had got the Master or Margarita. I think Margarita would have been better. Margarita basically being the main character from the beginning in a way that might have made it a little bit more enjoyable for me. And so I followed that up with my next audiobook, which I also have as a physical book. I kind of did a mixture of reading for them, but it is James Joyce, A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. One of 4 books that I am trying to read from James Joyce this year, one of which, Dubliners, I have already read. As I mentioned before, I am reading Finnegan's Wake, going very slowly, and I kind of have Ulysses kind of holding off probably till summer, when my kid is gone with their mother, so that I can concentrate on that a little bit. We shall see. I do have to say, I definitely enjoyed Dubliners a lot more than I did this book. It is still a fairly short book, less than 250 pages, and that's with a bunch of notes in this one. But kind of gets back to what I was saying before, the message and the story. Uh, and also character. Now, the main character in here is Stephen Daedalus. Daedalus? Definitely mispronouncing this one. Basically, it's him growing up from youth, like a teenager, to young adulthood. And it's his, for a large part, it's his religious upbringing, his religious battles, his going back and forth from being very religious, very pious, to being almost hedonistic, or as much hedonism as you can put in a novel in early 20th century Ireland. It is some of the same story that we have seen in Dubliners, which a lot of it is basically about the paralysis that people go through, and we definitely get that with Stephen. Uh, I do not find the character of Stephen an engaging character. Again, we have the message, we have the writing. The writing is great. It's also stream of consciousness, which I wasn't enjoying at first because it was really just stream of consciousness. And then as it went on, even though it was still stream of consciousness, it was also more on a, I guess, a normal narrative that we would encounter in other novels. But I don't. I kind of look at this book as two books. We have the writing, which is excellent. It's James Joyce, and basically the exploration of religion of Stephen's life and his constantly going back and forth, which I think that's great. But then we have the story and character. As a character, I find Stephen extremely dull. And I mean, you can still have a great novel with that, but Stephen is so much of this novel. Stephen is this novel that it's just my literary mind and my story mind are just at odds here. And I am glad that I read it. I give it a 4 star, but I definitely enjoyed it far less than I did Dubliners. And I have to be honest, Finnegan's Wake, which I do not understand as of yet, in which I am only like 24 pages in, I'm finding it more enjoyable, albeit far more challenging than I did Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. But I did read it. I can say I read it. Uh, did it do a lot for me? No. And part of that could be because I did listen to a lot of it on audiobook, which it was read by Colin Farrell. So that was interesting. And I did read some of it too, physically read some of it. So I don't know if I had read the entire thing in book form, if that would have affected me differently. But I just do know that by the end of it, I'm like, I've had enough of Stephen. um, Excellent writing, though. And I'm looking forward to continuing with Finnegan's Wake and looking forward to getting to Ulysses. So I have been somewhat reading other books that I have talked about in the past that I am, some of them I'm just reading for a long time, like Doonesbury and Peanuts and the Bible, and other ones that I just haven't finished yet. Uh, but I also realize that I might not finish any other books this week at the time that I was thinking about it. And I did only finish one other book in the week, but I did finish another book in my extended week. So I did something that I had been not doing for a while, which was to read very light reading. I read some romances. The first one was Not on the Table by Chloe Peterson. It is apparently book 5 in the Billionaire series. I have to say, with my reading sapphic romances, I get Chloe Peterson books being suggested to me on Kindle Unlimited quite a bit. Not that I recall as Chloe Peterson. It's only after having picked this book that oh yes, I've seen. So this is actually book 5 in the series, but they're basically 5 different romances, a group of friends, 5 billionaires, I guess, 5 women billionaires who happen to be in the same area, happen to be friends, and happen to be in sapphic romances. It doesn't strain the believability at all. um, Reading this one, not having read the other one, it doesn't really change anything. There are relationships that are mentioned in the other ones, which I got spoiled on, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't really play into this novel itself. Uh, Basically, Taylor, who is apparently a billionaire real estate developer, she's at a friend's wedding, one of the couples from a previous book. I won't let you know so you don't get ruined if you do happen to want to read these other books. Uh, you pretty much know how they're going to end, though. She so basically this is the 5th book. She has 4 friends. Everybody's coupled up. She is single. She's feeling down about that. So in reviewing some lodge that she has after this wedding, she decides to go on a hike despite warnings from several people about the weather. And of course, she gets stuck in the storm and basically passes out in very heavy winter storm. She is rescued by Wyatt, who's a novelist who lives by herself in a cabin. She's got anxiety. She used to be an EMT. There's a reason why she's no longer an EMT. The two of them are attracted to each other and uh, don't know if it matters to people or not. There's a lot of sex in this book, which I assume is the case with all these books in the Billionaire series. And basically, I think the relationship moves pretty quickly, which, I mean, they're 2 people trapped in a cabin together for apparently weeks. So you could see that. Um, and basically, and then it's their relationship from then on out and dealing with the issues that both of them have. I think a lot of the first part of the book is mainly dealing with Taylor's issues, and the second half is dealing with Wyatt's issue and how Taylor is helping her. It's fine. It's not bad. I don't find any of the characters particularly intriguing, although I don't find them dull. uh, but it was a quick read. That was mainly what I was looking for. I do think some beats of the story were just a little bit too simplistic, but it was pleasurable enough. It was fine. I gave it a 3.0. And the last book that I finished this week was That Secret Something by Emily Wright. That Secret Something is about Jess, who is best friends with Lily, and she has a crush on Lily's sister, Rebecca. We start the novel where Jess and Lily are getting ready to go to their prom, but Jess's date can't make it, so Rebecca ends up going on a date with her, and uh, it doesn't end up well because Jess drinks too much. And then we basically get a time jump of 4 years, and Lily is getting married, and Jess is a party planner, so she wants Jess to party plan, also wants her to be her maid of honor or co-maid of honor along with Rebecca. So Rebecca and Jess have to work together, and Jess is trying to not let her crush out, also understands that Lily doesn't want her and her sister together, although it's kind of understood but not exactly stated. So Jess is very conflicted. Jess, interesting enough for a party planner, although I guess it could be that she's a bit introverted and has a bit of anxiety. So I don't necessarily know if that's the best personality for a party planner, but I don't know. I wouldn't be a party planner, and I'm introverted. So, but hey, sure, I guess. So the two of them get closer, and what you think happens, what does happen. And Jess thinks that Rebecca only does casual relationships. So Jess, who's not really a casual relationship person, is getting anxiety about this because they're having fun together, but she also just really, really, really likes Rebecca, but she's trying to stay casual, even though that's not something she's good at. So got that back and forth, and of course we have also in the background, uh, what if Lily finds out? And then Jess has her mom who doesn't really know how to parent, and Rebecca also she's an extrovert. She's really out there, but she also kind of has anxieties of her own, particularly about her own family. So there's also quite a bit of sex in here, although I don't think necessarily as much as Not on the Table. I did enjoy this book more than Not on the Table. I don't think it's the best sapphic romance that I've read, but it was pretty good. I gave it a 3.5. Uh, so I'm going to continue to put out videos on the same day of the week, Fridays. Uh, I lost my microphone in like literally the last half a minute of my video, so my new weeks are going to be Thursday to Wednesday. Videos still come out on Friday, so please like and subscribe. Leave a comment, and I will talk to you next time.